Vice President Kamala Harris seeming to secure the delegate votes for getting the presidential nomination ahead of the Democratic National Convention. And what does that mean for whoever's going to be the vice presidential pick for Harris? Speculation, it could be Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. Of course, a lot of speculation out there. What are some of the Illinois political figures saying? We'll hear with Illinois in Focus Daily. Good morning. Greg Bishop with you each and every weekday morning at America's Talking Network with the Center Square. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell and join us each and every weekday morning. So a lot of speculation as to who's going to be the next VP. And that could be Governor J.B. Pritzker. Matt Hill posted a picture of Pritzker at the Democrats convention headquarters yesterday with 28 days to go before the Democratic National Convention. This post on X says that Pritzker asked everyone to applaud Joe Biden for his historic service to the nation and said that we have an important job to showcase Chicago and the Democratic Party this August. We're moving full speed ahead. So Pritzker there talking with Democrat volunteers and activists as part of the Democratic National Convention. Of course, some members of the media, like Marianne Ahern up in Chicago, asking why the press was not invited. So clearly, Governor Pritzker has said time and again that he's not running for president and that he supported Joe Biden, but Joe Biden not going to be the nominee, announcing Sunday that he's stepping down, and then in a follow-up announcement endorsing Harris. And then the endorsements for Harris started to pour in, including from Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday, announcing his support for Harris and condemning the Republican nominee. You've got, of course, Donald Trump, top of the ticket with J.D. Vance, as the vice president nominee for Republicans. So speculation, of course, is what it is. You've got a lot of different names being floated as potential vice presidents. But during the Republican National Convention, I asked U.S. Representative Darren LaHood about the prospect of Pritzker getting either president or VP. And in general, LaHood had this comment.
Listen, I think if Governor Pritzker didn't have $1 billion, he wouldn't be in office right now. So I think but for his money is the only reason why he's been in office. So I don't think many people outside of his media window, bubble, pay any attention to Governor Pritzker.
So clearly, Pritzker has a lot of money. Could that help in the efforts to further Harris? And is that something that's being considered in the vetting process of who could be the VP pick? When that announcement's going to be made, unclear. There's a lot of speculation that in early August, they're going to do a virtual vote for whoever the ticket's going to be. But even Kathy Salvi, the Republican chairperson for the state of Illinois, I asked her at the convention last week about Pritzker and whether she thinks Pritzker is going to be a factor in the 2024 election for president.
You know, we have to look at policies that have been promoted by this president and this presidential administration and this governor of ours and the supermajority. They haven't worked for Illinois. And they haven't worked for America, and people are waking up to that. And so I think that it would help the other party to put aside personalities and get results on behalf of the people and families of Illinois and the nation. And I think that people are waking up to the realities of the leftist progressive policies that have been promoted by this administration don't make sense, and people are hurting nationwide, which is why the Republican Party, its message is resonating, and we're going to win elections.
So again, Kathy Salvi from Illinois' Republican Party at the convention last week, reacting to what kind of impact Pritzker could have. She pointing more at just the leftist policies, she says, the Democrats exude. Yesterday, we talked with a Biden delegate, Chicago State Representative LaShawn Ford, and I asked him about how Pritzker would impact the 2024 election, and is he possibly the VP pick?
Well, I definitely want to see a ticket that wins, a solid ticket that speaks to America, speaks to the Democratic values, and one that understands an inclusive America, one that will not turn back in time. We've come a long way in America as it relates to giving rights to the disenfranchised, and so we need a ticket that has a vision for being inclusive, moving forward. And if it's J.B. Pritzker, he's already proven that he understands how to be inclusive. He understands how to have a big tent and work with people. Maybe he will be the one that could be on the ticket. If not, I think he'll play a major role in helping elect the next president of the United States, and we hope that it's a Democrat.
So Ford also went on to say in the conversation we had with him yesterday, he's looking for unity heading into the Democratic National Convention, saying that that should calm any possible street protests or any unrest on the streets outside of the convention. Again, if you missed that conversation, be sure to go to America's Talking Network's YouTube page, and you can find previous segments of this program. So a lot of speculation. Who's going to be the VP pick? Is it going to be Governor J.B. Pritzker? Are we going to see a vice president's debate between J.D. and J.B.? And all of this while you got to keep in mind, Biden got 760,000 votes in Illinois for the March primary. It was like 91% of the votes that were cast by Democrats in the March primary here in the state of Illinois. So those votes, of course, back in March, now we've seen the tumult that's happened and Biden stepping down as a nominee, freeing up those votes. But in Illinois, what does that mean for the ballots? Well, I did reach out to the Illinois State Board of Elections to ask if this changes things moving forward for the ballots. And the State Board of Elections said, listen, I mean, the ballot's not necessarily finalized until I believe they said August 23rd, which is right after the Democrat National Convention finishes up in Chicago. And that's when they'll make their official nomination. And that is then when they send that to the State Board of Elections in Illinois and make that ballot official August 23rd. They already have the official nomination for president from the Republicans because they wrapped up their official nominating process last week. So the State Board of Elections in Illinois saying that the ballot's not official until right after the Democrat National Convention in Chicago. And you can get into more of the weeds of the voting. You're voting for the electors of either Trump or, in this case, could be Harris. So we'll see what happens with the Democratic National Convention. As we were with the Republican National Convention, the Center Square will be on the ground for the Chicago convention, August 19th. We'll have live programming each morning of the convention, bringing you what happened in the previous day. So looking forward to keeping you updated there. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell with America's Talking Network and Illinois in Focus Daily right here with the Center Square. All right, so make it happen and continue on as we update you on the latest here with America's Talking Network and Illinois in Focus Daily. Not many answers in the questions raised to the Secret Service Director, Kimberly Cheadle, about the failures that she admits happened in the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump just over a week ago in Pennsylvania. Welcome back, Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to America's Talking Network as we wake you up each and every weekday morning with stories that you need to know about what's going on in and around Illinois. So obviously, the assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life, not successful. He had a grazed ear. And a lot of people pointing to, some kind of miracle that happened, miracle by millimeters, that the former president wasn't shot and killed, but still a lot of questions. And yesterday they had nearly a 5-hour hearing with the House Oversight Committee trying to get answers. And there was a bipartisan call for Cheadle to resign. And during that hearing, you heard from Republicans trying to get answers to specific questions about the timeline of when they saw somebody that was suspicious, how that individual was allowed to get on a roof, why this sloped roof was even a factor as something that kept people away from protecting that area, and even questions about why the Secret Service took so long to get Trump off that stage. In that time, you saw the iconic photo of Trump with his fist in the air, blood on his face, mouthing the words "fight, fight, fight." So the questions were heavy yesterday. Practically everybody from both sides was extremely critical of the director. In the various Q&A that I watched throughout the day yesterday, Republicans were looking for accountability. Democrats were looking for accountability as well, but some pointed to the AR-15 being a popular rifle, and some saying that they need to be banned. There needs to be an assault weapons ban, they say. Clearly interesting to hear some of those arguments while they're trying to get information on the assassination attempt and where the security failures came leading up to and during. And Cheadle referring a lot of questions to the FBI and multiple investigations that are ongoing. But ultimately, she did say she takes responsibility, but she refused to step down. I did want to air for you in its entirety Illinois Congressman Rajna Krishnamurthy from the Chicago suburbs. He's on the House Oversight Committee, and he spent time in his 5 minutes asking Cheadle questions, but also pointing to the bipartisan opposition of political violence and trying to eradicate that anywhere possible. Here's Congressman Rajna Krishnamurthy from Illinois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Ranking Member, for bringing us together this morning. One question I get asked a lot from my constituents is, what can Congress actually do to stop this from happening again? And I'd like to share a graphic from a very recent study conducted by Professor Robert Pape, a world-renowned expert in combating political violence. The graphic shows that 74% of Americans want this Congress to come together to denounce political violence of all stripes, and you can tell it's across party lines. I commend the chair and ranking member for putting out the statement the other day condemning political violence, and to further this effort, I'd like to ask all my colleagues to join Dr. Brad Wenstrup and me in introducing a resolution that we think can secure unanimous House passage in deploring and condemning political violence, and we will be circulating that resolution shortly. Director Cheadle, as you know, the shooter began shooting at 6:11 p.m. Eastern on July 13th. NBC reported that at 5:51 p.m., 20 minutes before the shooting began, the state police informed the Secret Service of their concern. Now, the rally was not paused at that point, correct?
No.
And according to NBC, just 2 minutes later, at 5:53 p.m., the Secret Service notified its snipers about the gunman. The rally wasn't paused at that point either, correct?
No.
Let me show you some video footage by rally goers. If you could play the video on the screen up here. This was taken 2 minutes before the shooting started. If you could turn up the volume.
Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here.
Right on the roof.
It's much tougher than it happens.
You went right on the roof again.
Up here.
Ma'am, that doesn't look like suspicious behavior. That looks like threatening behavior to me. And the rally wasn't paused at that point either, correct?
I can tell you, as I stated earlier, sir, that the moment that the shift surrounding the president were aware of an actual threat.
That's a threat right there. The guy's on the roof and everybody's yelling at him.
Yes.
And directing the officer's attention to him. The rally was not paused at that point, correct?
We are currently still combing through communications and when communications were passed.
Well, I can point you to this communication. It's 2 minutes before the shots started ringing out. Director Cheadle, yes or no? Was there ever a moment where the Secret Service actually considered pausing the rally?
The Secret Service would have paused the rally had they known or been
So the
told
answer is
there
no.
was an actual threat.
The answer is no. Correct?
I can speak to you in generalities.
No, I don't want
I don't
generalities. I
know
want
all of the
specifics.
communications
The
that were-
answer is no. You did not consider pausing the rally, correct?
The people that are in charge of protecting the president on that day would never bring the former president out if there was a threat that had been identified.
Well, they did, because we've now identified 3 points in the 20 minutes before the shooting that the threat emerged. Let me point you to something else, which is the building that the shooter was perched on, seen here. This building is called the AGR building. I'm sure that you're familiar with it. It's no more than 150 yards from the stage where Donald Trump stood, yet the security perimeter was drawn such that the AGR building was placed outside of it. Director Cheadle, according to the Washington Post, the AR-15 styled rifle used in the shooting had a range of 400 to 600 yards, and therefore the AGR building was clearly within rifle range of the stage, correct?
Yes.
NBC News has reported that in the days before the rally, the Secret Service had identified the building as a vulnerability that required special attention, correct?
That's reporting from NBC.
Yes.
So I am still looking into an active investigation.
I know, but it's been 9 days. I mean, you should know that, right? And yet, despite the fact that the AGR building was in rifle range of the stage and it was flagged as a vulnerability, this building was put outside of the Secret Service's security perimeter. And I respectfully submit the Secret Service must expand its security perimeter to account for the kinds of weapons that can be used outside the perimeter to endanger the protectees inside the perimeter, ma'am. Let me turn your attention to some conspiracy theories that have been circulating and ask you to comment on them. First, you have not found evidence that the incident was a staged shooting, right?
Correct.
And you haven't found evidence that this was a result of a conspiracy of high-ranking government officials, correct?
Correct.
And you have not found evidence that this incident was in fact directed or perpetrated by a foreign state or entity, right?
And that's the last question, but I'll let the director answer that, please.
Not at this time.
Thank you. I yield back.
Again, that's
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair now recognizes
Rajna Krishnamurthy from the Chicago suburbs on the House Oversight Committee yesterday, asking some pointed questions, and obviously a lot of other questions. You had Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican. She asked if there was a stand-down order from the Secret Service during this event. You had others pointing to the lack of transparency of the Secret Service, not even holding a news conference to explain and answer questions, and that leading to even one congressman yesterday said, are you aware that there are national news talking heads saying that this wasn't a shooting, that it was glass that hit Trump's ear? So how do you explain the lack of transparency in feeding those types of conspiracy theories? So clearly a lot more needs to come out of this, but even U.S. Senator Dick Durbin telling reporters in the Chicago Tribune reporting this, that he's calling for Cheadle to resign as well. But not just that, you had the House also put together a resolution. Here's Nancy Mace, who made a lot of headlines, essentially saying that Cheadle was full of excrement. But here she is introducing a motion to impeach the the sitting director of the Secret Service, in the House floor action from yesterday.
The form of this resolution is as follows: impeaching Kimberly A. Cheadle, Director of the United States Secret Service, for high crimes and misdemeanors. Resolved that Kimberly A. Cheadle, Director of the United States Secret Service, is impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors, and that the following article of impeachment be exhibited to the United States Senate. Article of impeachment exhibited by the House of Representatives of the United States of America in the name of itself and of the people of the United States of America against Kimberly A. Cheadle, Director of the United States Secret Service, in maintenance and support of its impeachment against her for high crimes and misdemeanors.
So, motion made to impeach Cheadle. Even some people saying that she needs to be charged with perjury for allegedly lying to Congress. So a lot more is going to come from this story, and something I think you heard, of course, the Oversight Committee yesterday. You've got a task force that House Speaker Johnson and even Congressman Darren LaHood have said they need to start. So we'll clearly hear a lot more about all of this. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Thank you for taking time each and every weekday morning, waking up with us, and being part of the program. If you're with us live in the chat room, you can join dozens of others every morning discussing these issues and more. But be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell for segments, news clips, the podcast. Search out Illinois in Focus Daily, and it's right here each and every weekday morning with the Center Square and America's Talking Network on YouTube. Graphic video being released in the shooting death of Sonia Massie in Springfield, Illinois, getting the attention of even President Joe Biden and many others. And this happened earlier this month with Sangamon County Sheriff's deputies showing up to a call for assistance where Massie was worried of a prowler. And things turned real bad real quick, and it's pretty disturbing. I'm not going to show the moments, but we will hear the audio. But clearly, this is an incident that has gotten a lot of attention here in Illinois and across the entire country, with news outlets picking up the video and reporting on this. So let's just take a look at some of the statements here. President Joe Biden posting on X. Sonia Massie, the beloved mother, friend, daughter, and young black woman, should be alive today. Sonia's death at the hands of police officer reminds us that all too often black Americans face fears for their safety in ways many of the rest of us do not. Sonia's family deserves justice, Biden said. I'm heartbroken for her children and family as they face this unthinkable and senseless loss. Jill and I mourn with the rest of the country, and our prayers are with Sonia's family, loved ones, and community during this devastating time. I commend the actions taken by the Springfield State's Attorney. It should be the Sangamon County State's Attorney. While we wait for the case to be prosecuted, let us pray to comfort the grieving. Congress must pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act to increase trust and accountability in America's police force. So let's go ahead and hear some of what the moments transpired. Of course, two sheriff's deputies arrive. They had body cameras on. One had audio recording. The other one did not until after the shooting. The person who pulled the trigger, the sheriff's deputy who pulled the trigger, who's now in custody, by the way, and facing first-degree murder charges. And that's former deputy Sean Grayson. So he's also been relieved of duty. But again, here is just some of the audio from that moment. We won't air the video per se of what happened there on the ground when this took place earlier this month in Springfield. But here's how it sounded. And again, listener discretion advised.
Huh? Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from the hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I would rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
I
rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
You better I swear to God, I'll you straight in your face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the pot. Drop.
19 shots fired.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Drop the pot.
So, 3 shots fired.
Yes, now we got a headshot wound to the female. Headshot wound to the female. 1078.
I was on. I'm gonna go get my kit.
No, headshot, dude. She's done. You can go get it, but that's a headshot. God damn.
God.
So the officer that pulled the trigger there, Grayson, obviously facing charges. Statement from the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office, Jack Campbell, the sheriff. He said body-worn camera footage has now been released. And the public can see what we saw. Sonia Massie lost her life due to an unjustifiable and reckless decision by former Deputy Sean Grayson. Grayson had other options available that he should have used. His actions were inexcusable and do not reflect the values or training of our office. He will now face judgment by the criminal justice system and will never again work in law enforcement. Miss Massie needlessly lost her life, and her family deserves answers. I trust the legal process will provide them. This incident does not reflect the values or actions of our law enforcement community. It was a tragic decision made by an individual who had the training, tools, and experience to know better. We are committed to upholding a standard that prevents such tragedies from occurring in the future. And again, this was a woman who called for assistance and even called Springfield Police for assistance. Sangamon County Sheriff's deputies showing up first on the scene, and some of the aftermath here, of course, not just the shots fired, but the explanation that the officer, the deputy, gave in the aftermath, saying, don't get your medical kit, it's a headshot. The other officer did get a medical kit and went to provide some kind of aid. And if you watch the whole video, again, it's heart-wrenching, but you can hear the breathing, the labored breathing of Massie. So clearly shot and final moments of her life there caught on that body cam footage. But here's more of the aftermath of that shooting that ultimately led to Massie losing her life.
I mean, what else do we do? I'm not taking hot boiling water to the face, and it already reached us.
They got a 52 en route?
Yeah, 1078. She's still breathing, but she's losing a lot of blood from that head. I'll go get my med kit.
Go get, hurry, get your med kit.
So here's more.
Boiling water. That's what all this is.
Another officer there, ultimately on the scene. Looks like it might be a supervisor of sorts, walking around, getting more information and hearing from Grayson, who pulled the trigger 3 times.
She said she was going to rebuke me in the name of Jesus and came out with boiling water. That's what all this is. I was standing right here.
All right.
And that's where he's landed.
What do y'all need from us?
Just hang out there for me. Thank you.
I need crime scene showed around the house if you guys can. But other than that, that's I think it.
And this is interesting. A lot more law enforcement show up, and the man who pulled the trigger here, making interesting statements that likely are going to be used in court. I believe all of this body cam footage is going to be used in court as he faces these charges. But you could see the police officers that showed up on the scene looking at this officer. And you can characterize how you feel. They are confronting him one way or the other.
Anything else suspect?
Me.
I didn't know what happened.
Yeah, I'm good. It's crazy.
So he said that she's crazy, and this is after, of course, pulling the trigger through. And just as somebody standing back watching this, it's interesting that this officer was not immediately isolated, and gun taken, keys taken, sit down in the car, let others investigate, because he then went, the officers that responded, I believe the body cam footage that's been released by Illinois State Police from this incident that happened earlier this month shows him going to get police tape and putting it up around the perimeter and seeming to somewhat take over the scene. Should there be, I don't know, some kind of effort to isolate this individual, to keep them from the scene and let others that are responding to the police-involved shooting take over and investigate? Either way, there's going to be a lot of questions, and this is going to be a high-profile case, already is, with even President Joe Biden making comments on social media. But Central Illinois U.S. Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski, she made these comments on the House floor recently.
Madam Speaker, on July 6, Sonia Massie dialed 911 seeking safety. But instead of receiving help, she met with fatal gunfire from an officer of the law. Like everyone who has seen the body camera footage on her final moments, I am shocked, horrified, and heartbroken. This was an appalling act of senseless violence that strikes at the core of our humanity. I stand here today echoing the voices of my constituents in Springfield and Americans nationwide, demanding justice and accountability. We must confront and end the use of excessive force against unarmed people of color in this country. My heart goes out to Sonia's children, her family, and all who loved her. They deserve answers, and they deserve to see an end to this systemic issue. Sonia Massie should be alive today. We owe it to her memory to ensure that such a tragedy never happens again. I yield back.
So Budzinski again taking to the House floor with those comments, and I think you're going to hear a lot more about this case. The officer has been fired. He has been held without bail. Illinois ended cash bail statewide. So now it's in the justice hands. So Sean Grayson facing those charges of first-degree murder, and the body camera footage being seen around the world, something that's happened here right in the capital city of Illinois with a lot of attention on it. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. Join us each and every weekday morning, breaking down some of the most important stories for you to consider as you start your day. Get the podcast anytime. Just search Illinois in Focus where you get your podcasts. And if you're on the road and you can't watch, well, you can listen. So definitely take the time and subscribe as well to the Center Square, where you can get all Illinois updates and even beyond. Check out thecentersquare.com. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Follow me anywhere. Just search Bishop on Air on X, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just search Bishop on Air.